It is Wednesday night, just about 10 minutes before 10 Eastern. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen, Onek, keeping you updated with the latest weather situation across the area. We do have more rain on the way. We're going to have to kind of curtail things here after about 10 minutes as we've got some recording going on in the studio taking place here in just a little bit, but we'll bring that to you coming up here in just a little while. Looking down to our south and off to the west, this is the News 12 viewing area. Chattanooga in the middle, southeast Tennessee, western North Carolina, back over toward northwest Georgia and northeast Alabama. That is the News 12 viewing area. And taking a look down to our south, that is where we have, again, some more showers north of I-20 between Atlanta and Birmingham, and spotty sprinkles out there. We'll continue to see more of that throughout the rest of the evening. So if you have any plans for traveling, be advised that we may be seeing, again, some more problems where it comes to low visibility and the possibility of, again, some slick conditions out there. And that will go right on into the morning hours, getting the kids to school. Could be some showers and thunderstorms out there with some cool-ish temperatures out across the area, and then very much on the mild side as we go into the rest of the day. Notice the higher amounts of precipitation chances on the early morning hours of Thursday, and again increasing as we go into the afternoon hours of Thursday. That is where we could be looking again at the potential problems for anything involving outdoors and, of course, going to and from school. So again, please keep that in mind if you have any plans for travel, getting the kids to school, anything like that could be a potential problem out there. Downtown, a lot of low clouds, and that's not downtown, that's Lee Point, that's our Island Cove Marina and Resort camera. Let me see if the weather vision system is actually working here, and we'll go from there. There we go. A little bit of cloud cover downtown, some drizzle, and less in the way of rain on the camera lens for right now, but we also will see more potential rainfall into the evening hours. Getting that nice haze fog layer taking place at Lee Point, 153 and the 64 overpass. Traffic on the light side for right now. The visibility was a lot better earlier tonight, and now it is degraded quite a lot to where you can see the lights of Finley Stadium interacting with those molecules of moisture out there. So we do have a little bit more in the way of visibility problems and light amounts of rain. This view from the News 12 studios up on our tower, looking back to the north, can't see Signal Mountain off in the distance, because, again, it is very much on the foggy side out there. Temperatures at the top of the hour, not doing too bad. We are, well, coming up to the top of the hour, lower 60s at the airport, winds northwest at about 3 miles per hour, so very much on the mild side out there, and it should continue to stay that way. Let's take a look and see what's going on, again, into the rest of the evening. Our latest storm system is on the way. It's sitting back over parts of the Oklahoma area, moving toward the Mississippi Valley. Our warm front with warmer air behind it, that's what's going to stabilize the temperatures into overnight. That'll be moving on through and developing again more of those chances of showers in the lee of that front as it makes its way on through the area tonight and into tomorrow. So low temperatures overnight are not going to be that low, only back in the mid to upper 50s to the lower 60s. So numbers may drop only a couple of more degrees in the course of the next couple of hours, and that is really about where we're going to be winding up for, again, any chance in the way of cooler weather overnight. Numbers stay relatively stable into tomorrow morning, so what you're feeling out there right now is about as cool as what we're going to be getting into the rest of the forecast out across the area. Now, there is the potential, again, want to make certain everybody's paying attention to this because we could be looking at some problems out of this into tomorrow, and this is something that we do need to be paying attention to. Starting with the rest of tonight, it's possibility of severe weather not happening for us. This is a generic thunderstorm possibility. Again, the pale green colors indicates where we see the non-severe thunderstorms, so nothing happening tonight. But tomorrow, this is where things really start to get interesting, in that the Storm Prediction Center, which issues these forecasts, Yesterday had us in a marginal, that's a 1 out of 5, the dark green polygon, lesser chance of severe weather. Possible, but almost unlikely. And then we got upgraded to this today. Eastern parts of the viewing area, the Carolinas, the Virginias, down into northern Georgia. This yellow slight risk polygon is where we may see the worst activity coming up tomorrow afternoon and evening. So that's something to watch out for. Main potential at this time is going to be the possibility of damaging winds and maybe some large hail built into that. So that could be just a bit of a problem out there for everything going on. So we'll keep you updated on that. So keep it tuned to News 12 and we'll let you know more about what's going on there. All right, 7-day forecast, again, including that potential of severe weather. Low clouds over Lake Chickamauga and the Tennessee River from the Island Cove Marina and Resort camera. You can see all of our EPB fiber optics WeatherCam network cameras at our website. That's at wdef.com/weather. Warmer tomorrow, temperatures back up around 80, and chances of thunderstorms with that severe weather threat could be a main possibility there. And then for the rest of the week, we'll drop the temperatures through about Sunday with the clouds and the rain blocking out the sunshine, and then we'll head back upwards again slowly. Comfortable temperatures. Remember, at this time of the year, we can easily be back to 90 degrees. That is not happening this time around. Very much on the not dry side either. Thunderstorms into Friday, looking at rain chances Saturday, Sunday, early Monday. Thunderstorm chances return on Monday night into Tuesday and continue through next Wednesday. We're getting very close to, again, field day activities for the close of schools at the end of the semester. We're also getting into graduation season. A lot of outdoor parties going on, a lot of outdoor activities happening in the next several days and weeks. So with a forecast like this, you can try to keep your outdoor activities going on, but remember, if you see lightning or hear thunder, it's time to wrap things up and get back indoors as soon as possible. So please keep that in mind out there for the rest of the forecast. Our weather window picture of the day, thank you very much to News 12 viewer Jeff Lyon from Chattanooga for a view of a nice rosy glow reflected in the irises on the banks of Lake Chickamauga. That's our Langley Roofing weather window picture of the day. And if you've got pictures, we'd love to see them. Go ahead and send them in to us at pictures@wdef.com. You can, again, drop them to our social media networks or go to wdef.com/photos for more. And thanks to everybody for sending in some wonderful pictures. Again, for anything going on outdoors tomorrow, going to be seeing a little bit more sunshine than we did today. That could raise the possibility of sunburn, so don't forget the sunblock. And again, anything going outdoors, especially if you're on the water, see lightning, hear thunder, wrap it up, get back indoors as soon as possible, and some very mild temperatures coming up. And that also comes in very much on the important side if you're going to be chasing the ball around the golf course. There's a window, as we showed you on the school day forecast, where you might get some golf in tomorrow, maybe. But again, standing out on a big, broad, flat green surface with metal spikes on your shoes and a big metal rod in your hand and the T flag standing up there as an attractant with, again, the trees around, not the place you want to be. So again, please remember, when thunder roars, go indoors. If you can get out there for a round of golf, great, but please practice weather safety out there. And let's all make certain we all come home very much on the safe and healthy side out there. I apologize, my throat and my nasal areas are just going nuts for tonight. I don't know what's going on, but it has been a difficult day for anything going on with the way of pollen and allergies and things like that. Hopefully you're not having this issue, but it is kind of miserable for right now. All right, from the American Science and Technology Centers, the American Association of these Association of Science and Technology Centers did a poll back in April. 90% of Americans use weather forecasts, job market reports, food safety warnings, and other information that is based on federal science, which is now under attack by South African billionaires and their computer geek squad delving their fingers into places where they should not have been in the first place. Thank you very much, our senators and congresspeople, for not standing up for us on that. The idea that 90% of people in this country use some of that information for science or otherwise. What number of respondents are concerned about the idea that their access to science and all that data, that with all these cuts by Doge and South African interfering billionaires, what percentage of respondents are concerned that cuts to federal support for science might impact their access to such information? In other words, how many people out there polled were worried about what was going on with their possibility of accessing the information or cutting the information away and not being able to get to it? 10%, 25%, or 50%? And the answer was actually 10%. According to this poll, on average, 1 out of 10 Americans is concerned about the idea that we may lose access to information, thanks again to these terrible decisions that are being made in the executive branch of our federal government. This is very worrisome to be able to see this. 90% of Americans depend on information like weather forecasts, job quotes, things like that. But only 1 in 10 are actually worried or concerned that this is not going to be an issue. That is very worrisome, personally, to me, on many aspects, to be able to see this happening. But it doesn't bode well when only 10%, again, according to this poll statistic, are saying, well, we don't have to worry about it. It's not really that much. 90% are saying it's not really that much of a problem. I'm one of that 10% right there that's very worried about the effect of the cuts on science data. It's already having an impact. We're already losing people at National Weather Service offices. But according to what we're seeing here, a clear majority of the country does not worry about anything having to do with this. And that is very concerning right there, that we appear to be a country that is not concerned with anything unless it impacts us personally and directly. If it's happening to somebody else, who cares, according to what we're seeing from a lot of people. So this right here, rather worrisome. Thanks to the Association of Science and Technology Centers and NPR for posting this. And again, thanks to roofquotes.com for being our sponsor of our poll of the day. New poll will be going up at midnight, so stay tuned for more there. We'll get that updated for you coming up a little bit later. Into the morning hours, we talked again about the possibility of seeing more showers and thunderstorms out there. So if you have any plans for getting outdoors, there will be, again, the potential for some problems, especially if you're going to be taking the pupper for a walk. So please consider some rain gear and paying attention to the forecast. Again, if there's lightning into and around your area, especially early in the morning, may want to think about something in the way of some protection there, as we see more chances of rain off and on and all the way throughout the rest of the morning, but lessening into midday and then coming back in the afternoon, and that is where we may see again the possibility of some severe weather taking place there. Should mention, thanks to Nancy Berman, News 12 viewer from Cleveland, for a view of Pupper Rain, R-A-Y-N-E, with her favorite toy. That's our dog walking forecast pupper picture of the day, and thank you very much for sending that along. Really do appreciate all your pictures that everybody sends into the area. Once again, we have no activity happening in the tropics just yet. The Eastern Pacific, the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico, not seeing anything develop right now, but that will be changing, and that's why the National Hurricane Center designates the first week of May of the year, right before hurricane season starts, as Hurricane Preparedness Week. This is very important. And even though we don't live directly on the coastal areas, this is important to remember, that we know what to do if and when we get stuck in a situation that, or if we know somebody who lives down around the coastline or is vacationing down there, you got to pay attention to both the weather before a storm heads out into your general area, and you also have to be making certain that you are aware of how to get out of a particular location, because once a storm starts making its way toward an area of the coast and the National Weather Service and the authorities start saying it's time to evacuate, it's time to get out of there, and if you get stuck in that scrum of traffic, it could be too late already to get all the way out of there, and getting trapped in traffic with all of your stuff with you and family members. That's going to be very much on the difficult side. So all these topics lined up at this website are available for you to take a look at to become better informed. Again, one more good example about what NOAA does to help the community stay informed and prepared. NOAA does not just talk about climate change, even though a South African billionaire and a certain project with a year after it would like to be able to scare you into thinking all you have to do is get rid of that, and we won't have to hear about climate change anymore. Well, that's utterly, completely, totally, contemptibly false. So NOAA does so much more to help us out to stay safe, including teaching you about hurricanes and how to be ready for them. When it comes time to get out of a certain location, you need to get out of that area. There is no real such thing as riding out a storm. Even a Category 1 hurricane can have devastating storm surge. That's the bulge of water that bows up underneath the center part of the hurricane, travels along with it, and then washes over the land surface 10, 20, 30 feet deep in places, to where if you're trying to ride things out in your home and the water keeps rising, you're going to drown there, or you're going to get washed away if you don't leave beforehand. This is going to be one of the most important things to learn about this. So again, protecting your home, securing doors and loose items, considering sheltering option around and about if it's available for you, or out of the storm's path. What to do with your pets, need to think about that well ahead of time. If there's a shelter they can go to, a relative, a friend that's out of the way, keeping them safe, that's one of the best things you can do. But that's one less thing. If they are with someone else, that's one less thing for you to worry about. Your go bag, if you've never built one of those before, you have a bag that is crammed full with stuff you might need, whether it's medical, electrical, anything. Most amateur radio operators have a go bag ready to go with either their equipment, power pack batteries, anything they need to repair equipment, things like that. You can pack it again with clothes, anything in the way of money and books and things for the kids to do and things like that. Getting your vehicle filled up or charged and ready to get out of a certain location. Helping anybody around you, your neighbors, the elderly, other vulnerable people. If you can lend a hand, that will help them out and will help you out by being able to say, I helped during a very strenuous and what could be dangerous times. And again, the last one here, very important. If the evacuation orders are given saying you cannot stay here, get out. Go, don't stop, just get out of that area. If you are stuck there and you are forced to call for rescue, you are selfishly putting other people at risk to come and pluck you out of the waters or wherever you happen to wind up. So when the authorities, when everybody in charge says this storm is a major threat, get out of the way, they mean it. They're not fooling around, and they're not trying to inconvenience you. They're trying to get you to save your life. So great opportunity to learn more about all of this, and you can find out more details again at NOAA.gov/hurricane-prep if you'd like to know more on that. And while you're there, stop by and learn what NOAA has to say about climate change, especially those of you involved in a certain project out there. Would come in handy for you to take a look at information like that, and also see that there's a lot more to NOAA than just climate change, and decimating that government agency is a really, truly terrible, trash-tastic idea. So please consider that. Radar was the topic tonight. Next topics coming up for Weather 101 will be next Monday, upper air soundings, which coincidentally, because of a certain project, we are now losing. We're losing data thanks to a certain project and a certain South African billionaire. They are harming our ability to forecast weather, and they are harming the people who watch the weather for us in the National Weather Service. This is a truly terrible idea, what they're doing right now, and a truly shameful way to behave with the way that the people in Congress are allowing stuff like this to go on unchecked. So this is very sad to see this, but finding out more about how we can tell more about what's going on in the upper levels of the atmosphere to help us forecast which direction storms are moving, which direction heat and cold are being driven by those winds, how much moisture is being pushed one way, how much dry air is being pushed another way. That's the information that can help us stay on top and make the most accurate forecasts on the planet. But we can't do that if a certain project damages our ability to help forecast the weather. That is not waste. That is not fraud. That is pure science, and it helps us remain a viable, strong, science-based country. But when we surrender to South African billionaires and projects with years after their names, this is what happens. We start losing the ability to use. This is a great opportunity for those of you who think that it's necessary to get rid of this data because it's a waste or a fraud. Show up Monday. I ask you to ask the meteorologist and personnel at the National Weather Service in Nashville what is happening to our data and about the fact that we are losing the ability to stay accurate. I would love to see what a certain project would be able to talk about, talking directly to the meteorologists and personnel, and I would love to see the responses on there if anybody in the project has the guts to show up and actually talk about this. So this is something that is very important for everybody to take a look at. I'm sure my congressional leaders are tired of hearing from me, but they're going to hear from me again because this is something that should not be happening. National Weather Service, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration should not be getting cut down like this. It is a travesty. It is an absolute terrible idea, and I don't want to be talking about this any more than I have to, but it's terrible what's going on, and you and me as citizens need to consider what our reaction is and how we can actually help the National Weather Service. Damage has been done. People have been fired. People have been laid off. We now have certain National Weather Service offices covering for others during strong or severe weather. That is not waste. That is making people work harder for less money to help cover gaps which are being created and making things worse. So a certain South African billionaire needs to go back and play with his billion-dollar Lego blocks and leave our country alone. That's just what it comes down to. So again, please contact your representatives and realize what NOAA is doing to help us in this country, and how a certain project is harming all of us by allowing to run rampant through our federal government. This is really a very bad idea, and I just do not like the idea of having to continually talk about this current situation. So again, I'll shut up for now, but there's still a lot to talk about, so please contact your representatives. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so get on the horn. Talk to your representatives, learn about the situation, find out what NOAA does. If you're one of those people who considers NOAA a fraud and a waste, go ask for a visit at the National Weather Service offices. Ask for a tour. Ask to talk to the meteorologist, the hydrologist, the weather specialist there that will do their best to explain to you what's going on. And how and why they do what they do is an important thing. Gutting a federal agency like this is not the way to do it. It is the wrong way to do it. It is absolutely, completely, just absolutely, unbelievably wrong. So please, if anybody out there is watching from a certain project, reconsider what you're doing and think about the future. Just because you want to axe the mention of climate change, how are you going to stop telling people around the world to stop talking about it? Just by cutting it off here by demolishing NOAA, you're not going to get people to stop talking about it. Matter of fact, you're going to get people around the world to talk more about climate change, but based on what you are doing here to try to cover up the idea that all we have to do is stop talking about climate change and people won't worry about it and won't talk about it anymore. Very backwards, this entire project, and it's very sad to see that this is what it has come to. So for right now, I will continue to talk about this. I don't want to, but we will continue to tell you about what is going on with the weather and just how absolutely important it is to stop tearing apart the National Weather Service. This is absolutely, completely, and totally important on here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close it off for now. We've been on for just about a half an hour. I'm going to try to save my voice for tomorrow morning to make sure that everybody can hear me there, and we'll keep you updated on what is going on with the forecast. Chip Chapman will have more details on what's happening with the forecast early tomorrow morning, Thursday, starting at 5 a.m. on the morning show Eastern time, so go ahead and join him for that, and I'll be back tomorrow night. If there's severe weather, we will let you know about it. Watch the upper right-hand corner of our screen if you're watching live on air. Definitely want to stay up to date with what is happening and have your severe weather plan ready to go just in case. You may need to have that ready, and we'll keep an eye on the situation from here. Live and direct from downtown Chattanooga, Tennessee, southeast United States, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek on a fairly foggy and misty Wednesday evening. Stay tuned for more with News 12 on air and online, and we'll see you again in about 24 hours.